for me, it's like a dark reality, a dark cloud is coming so fast. I've studied too much pre-World War II German history, too. So I'm at a terrible disadvantage because my antennae are just incinerating. They're just on fire. The thing that frightens me most is we have this history. It's right there in 100 books and 1,000 documentaries and the Jewish people. And like, what the fuck? How can this be going on? And I am scared shitless. And I'm noticing myself on my computer. I've got all these like activist organization emails I'm just deleting. And I'm going, why are you deleting? What is the sensation in you? And it's desperate helplessness. Where do I latch on? I feel like I'm sliding down a greased escarpment that has no end. Except all I see below is darkness. So I realized after the inauguration, I didn't want to all in any way in myself be like the president. So I've really had to look hard at my prejudices, the way I make other people other, my judgments, my fears, the way I make myself superior. All these things I've just taken for granted in myself, just thinking they're okay. And it's been a really, really, really uncomfortable year and a half. Really, I've been uncomfortable every day, but I'm not going to be that way. I am not. Because when I am, I'm not free. And if my freedom means something to me, I better change that before I ask anybody else to change. So, there you go.
Talk we've had about fear that to me is like a long-term, vast issue that, you know, will go on in the world because we're animals. We've been given the fear response in order to survive in the world. We have to know there's danger. And I know that's there, and I deal with that, and I try to understand that. But what to me is separate, not unrelated, but separate, is the actions that are taking place in our world, whether they're from rational fear or irrational fear. The actions that are taking place in the world and how we're going to respond to them. Because as living creatures and as human beings, we have to respond to danger in the world around us.
I'm having a lot of thoughts and feelings, but it's all kind of abstract. I'm a musician, and I do a lot of my communicating non-verbally. And some of my most meaningful communication has been non-verbal. But I see a lot. I see things in people's faces. I see things in people's bodies. I play chamber music. I was in a string quartet for many years. What I see a lot of is fear. And it's a motivating factor. And our society rewards membership and ostracizes individualism. And I think that's a natural human behavior. But the fucked up thing about that is that it leads to something like a two-party system, which I think is insane. I'm a registered independent because I'm so upset with the fact that we have two parties. Why do we have 31 flavors of ice cream and people with closets with 200 pairs of shoes and who knows how many dozens and dozens of other choices in our lifestyles, but have only two political parties? But then that brings me back to the fear thing, because people want to belong. They don't want to be. See, I'm the guy who doesn't give a shit about belonging. And this is what's important to me. This is, I want to open people's eyes to how limited they make themselves by signing up to the tribalism. And I don't think Trump's winning the election was as much about pro-Trump as it was about anti-Hillary. And that was all about propaganda, it was about news, it was about fake news, whatever it was about. But primarily it was about fear. It was about wanting to belong. I mean, this goes back eons. This is not just about elections in the US. This is about human behavior. And so how do we make people less afraid is what I want to know. How do we include people? How do we share in a way that makes it safe, that makes it okay to voice a lone opinion and still feel valued? And what I do personally is I give first. In a standoff, I'm the guy who puts the gun down first. And I'm using that as a metaphor for things that I really do. I mean, I feel like I have to do some soul bearing. It works in string quartet playing. Just, I've had people say, wow, Michael, I love playing with you. Just, have you played with Michael? He's great. Just, and the thing is that I know why. Because I give, because I bear, because I'm willing to show vulnerability. I'm willing to admit that not only could I be wrong, but I probably am a lot of the time. And I think that this is important. This is the kind of behavior that gives others permission to be less afraid. To me, that's what this is all about. This is what everybody's talking about. The common denominator is the most primal thing that motivates everyone. It's fear. Reading 2 or 3 Marianne Williamson books, you know, she's the interpreter of A Course in Miracles, which I've never read because it's like 2,000 pages. But the one thing that sticks is the opposite of love is fear, not hate. There's no such thing as hate. Hate does not exist. There's no hate. I know this. It's fear. So this is my battle, and as I listen to everyone, I realize that this is what's important to me, is I want people to feel safe no matter what they believe. And I want them to realize there's more than 2 choices. Thank you.
When Trump was elected, I knew exactly who we were getting. And the reason I knew exactly who we were getting is because he is just like the kids who beat me up every day at school for my entire childhood. I think that it's really, really, really easy to want other people to be something, whatever it is. It's so much easier than it is to be okay with yourself. So I'll say this right out loud, you know, I am genuinely terrified of traditional political activism. I spent most of my childhood where my survival was, and I do mean survival, okay? I haven't even gone into family life. So my survival was absolutely dependent upon keeping my head down and out of sight. But what I know today is that that kid that Donald Trump reminds me the most of, his name was Steve. He lived up the street from me, and he made my life hell for a lot of years. When I got older, I learned a lot more about him. He was one of 4 kids. His mother was a single mother. I have absolutely no idea where his father was, or if his father was ever. She worked long hours. She was never home. And he was cast adrift. I don't know where he is today. Google has not been helpful. Chances are he's dead or in prison. But who knows? Redemption's possible for anybody at any moment. For me personally, my dance is about how to get up on my hind legs and say, this is what I know, this is what I believe, this is what matters, this is what I will stand for, while at the same time not making anybody else wrong for being who they are. And so where I come to with that is that it's not enough for me to be against anything. I gotta know what I'm for.
So I'm in the healing arts. The woman who brought this work that I practice to America from Japan said that disease kills hundreds while fear kills thousands. I have a friend, we met in college almost 45 years ago. He's like a brother to me. He's a far right-wing religious conservative. Lives in Arizona. And we can talk about anything. And we can get steamy on the phone, but it's like we're arguing, but there's no judgment. It's a beautiful thing where they're not judging each other. We might say, no, 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 yes, 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 you know. It might be righteousness. There might be that kind of stuff going on. But our connection is just indestructible. And I was afraid for this relationship with this election. And if my buddy Harry and I can stay connected, by golly, any two other people can. He's like my rock with that. He's like my sword in the ground with staying connected, and the real acid test of how to stay connected and just hammer it out until you come to a place, well, yeah, I get your point of view. And I'm also reminded of Jimmy Carter when he brought Begin and Arafat, to Camp David, and that incredibly beautiful story about how within 20 minutes, Begin and Arafat, if there wasn't a table between them, there would have been serious fisticuffs in that room. And Carter got pissed, and he slammed his hand down on the table. I heard him tell this story, so I'm going to believe his version. And he said, "Stop it," he yelled it. "I feel like I'm dealing with children here." And he just got furious with them, and he said, you go out that door with my security person, and you go out that door with my security person, and you guys go for a walk until you cool off and don't even think about coming back in here. We had to parent these guys. It was like, wow, are you kidding me? But they got him cooled off, and over the next few days, what he did was he succeeded in helping the other realize that the only path to peace, the only solution, was holding themselves responsible for solving the other's problem. And that's how I raised my kids. Didn't mean there weren't fisticuffs between them, siblings, you know. But we ended up in that kind of situation several times, and that's how I set it up. And there was instant peace. When they heard what the other person's problem was, and they set it back. It was incredible. It was instant peace because there was empathy.